Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. All the other episodes are on truthandtranscendence.com. I was just reminded the other day that someone told me that a negotiation is never over until both people say it's over. So I've heard that, and then I thought, yeah, is that really true? If the other person says, right, that's it, I'm walking away, surely that means the negotiation is over. But actually, it's not necessarily over. One time, years and years ago, I was in a relationship with a beautiful man, and I thought he was great, and I thought the relationship was great. And then one day he said to me that for him, it was over, he was ending it. And I was very upset, and I went away and I thought, well, I just have to accept it. And then I thought, I'm just going to try something here. So I contacted him. We actually were working in the same company, so we couldn't completely avoid each other. So I contacted him and asked him to meet me for a coffee, which we met. And I said to him, okay, you've told me it's over. I don't agree. I don't want it to be over. He was astonished. No one had ever done this with him. He'd broken up with other people in the past, and no one had ever come back and said, I don't agree to break up with you. I don't agree. And he was very surprised and actually quite impressed. And we had a conversation about it. And through the conversation, the minute I said this to him, I felt I'd reclaimed something. I'd reclaimed my sovereignty in that situation. I'd remembered that regardless of what he feels or thinks, I also have an experience and a reality, and I have a voice, and I can speak my voice. And actually, what it came to in the conversation was he acknowledged me saying that. He thanked me for saying that. He really appreciated me saying that, because for him, the thing wasn't complete. He'd said it was over, and then it was over. And that left him with an unresolved loose end, just like it left me with an unresolved loose end. But we were able to have a proper conversation. He was able to explain a bit more about why he needed to end it with me, which actually I then understood he did need to. And it wasn't because there was anything wrong with me. It was because on his particular path of growth and evolution as a man, I was no longer the right person for him to be with. And I understood that, and I had actually no argument with it. And he understood that for me, he would have been a good person for me to be with. But actually, we both came to the conclusion that given what had shifted for him in his life, and given he'd come to a place where it was no longer a good fit, that also then meant that in reality, it was no longer a good fit for me. So we both reached that point together in the conversation, and it was absolutely wonderful and incredibly liberating. And it changed my life forever. Really, really valuable. So obviously in a personal situation, it's very emotional, but these things come up as well in business relationships, friendships, colleague relationships. You're in a group, you're in a community where you're in some sort of soft or hard negotiation, whatever the nature it may be. And the reality is it's not complete till both people say it's complete. So if you've got some sort of situation going on where it feels like it's incomplete for you, maybe trust that, and maybe possibly go back and speak to the person. If that's not possible, I've got someone else in my life, a woman on this occasion, who decided she no longer wanted to have anything to do with me, and she won't talk to me. She doesn't want to talk to me. Now, I've accepted that. But that means that between the two of us, there is a loose end present. And that just kind of takes a little bit of energy for that to be there. That, not that either of us is, I don't know what she's doing with it, but for me, not that I'm doing anything particular with it, not that it's actually hurting me, but there's an awareness that there's a lack of resolution, that the thing is not complete. And how many of these do we have in our lives? It may not be that somebody won't talk to you anymore. It may be just something small. It may be something big. But remembering that in our sovereignty, our autonomy as free, conscious beings who can make our own choices, we can actually go back and seek a completion resolution, which may simply be, okay, you said no to such and such a thing. Personally, I would have said yes, and I'd just like you to know that. And I understand that you've said no. If you ever be open to discussing it so we can understand each other more fully, which might be helpful, I'd love to do that. So something to think about. So before I go, I'm just going to remind you that you can actually meet me if you'd like to for a clarity call if you are somebody who is looking to step more deeply into what your particular calling is and you want to bring it more to life. I'm very good at helping people to do that. I've done that multiple times in my own life. So if you feel that might be of interest, book a clarity call at beingspace.world/clarity. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you next time.